Me? I already picked mine.
Tread, you idiot, Tread. Why? Because I had parents that loved me?
Die Hard is a Christmas movie. Shut up,
Yes.
Trent. Because you know it's fire, bro. You know it's fire.
I want to stop being Tread's bitch. That's what I really want. Guess who's not here? It's
This
like
is
my
so
New
fun.
my New Year's resolution
so
has
fun.
has already paid off.
Oh my
It's
God.
only been a
Okay.
week.
Cole, throw in the hashtag right now. Hashtag stand up to Tread. Let's stand up, Red.
I'm taking some
Welcome
steps
to
back.
this week's special episode where Tread decided that he was too sick from his trip to Nashville. I went on the same trip.
Yep.
I'm right here.
Slept in
I
the same
care.
room. Yep.
Same room. Still
Yep.
here.
Yep.
Still standing up to Tread.
Yep.
Okay. So this is
All right.
our
Well, I'm going to sit
our
back down,
stand up
but
to
I'm
Tread
still
special.
I'm sitting back down, but I'm still standing up to Treadway. Just so you know, Krout. Okay, cool. All right.
So
Okay.
this is just going to be a fun little episode where we just talk about our fearless leader,
Yeah.
and how much we love him.
Yep.
Because he's not here to defend himself. So.
Yeah. Gosh, I'm filled with excitement, and I think I'd hate to leave our fans out of this, but Krout's been a little skeptical of this duo, even though we've been a duo with each other for like 5 years, but you can forget about that. But he's a little skeptical, and I'm telling him, no, this is like a godsend. This is something that we've actually closed our eyes and we've thought about it. We're like, please let this happen. We've prayed for this. This is what we wanted. And it only took us 10 days into January, into the new year, for this miracle to fall from the sky, because Twed's a little sicky. He doesn't want to do the podcast because he doesn't feel good. So welcome to Tread's Roast.
Welcome to Tread's Roast. Welcome to the big Krout and Brad buffet.
Yeah.
Own Tread.
Yeah.
I think how we start is we listen to some voicemails and we'll actually respect our guests.
Oh,
what do you think about that, Brad?
That sounds exactly like what Tread wouldn't do. So let's do it.
Let's do it.
Let's start with it.
All right.
So the first one comes from Davis Coaster, who is an avid listener.
What's up, Buffet Nation? I'm a big fan of your podcast, but we need a little bit more Northwest baseball representation. I want to talk about the Mariners. So the Mariners are clearly trying to win now. They traded Marte, Arroyo, Stout, Dunn. But kind of like Tread's Giants, we haven't done quite enough. We have some money to spend, but we haven't spent it. Our payroll for 2023 is $135 million. That's middle of the pack. So I was watching a video this morning, and it kind of came to me. We need somebody clutch to kind of get over that bump. How about a guy that has an OPS over 1,000 in high leverage situations and holds hitters to an OPS of under 500? The best in the MLB at both categories, might I add. That's Ohtani, right? It makes sense for Ohtani, too, because the Mariners were in on him originally. He showed interest in Seattle. Huge Japanese influence with Ichiro. I mean, it gives Ohtani a chance to make the playoffs and show how clutch he is. I'm only seeing a couple of potential problems with this, right? There's not a significant amount of time for Ohtani in the outfield in previous years with the Angels. So you're going to have to spike up that workload even a little bit more than it already has been. But in the past, Ohtani's kind of a freak of nature. The more he plays, the healthier he stays. It's kind of weird. Also, what would we do with Ohtani in the playoffs? What would we do with Kirby or Gilbert or Ray? I mean, one of those guys isn't starting. Maybe two of those guys. Do we just throw them in the pen? And our last problem, and probably the biggest roadblock in this deal, the general manager of the Angels has already said Ohtani isn't going anywhere. So is this even realistic? Is this possible? Are we looking at a 2024 Ohtani? I need some takes.
Thank you, Davis Coaster.
I was locked into that. I've listened to the whole thing, though. I have.
Okay. Yeah. Well, Cole might have just played the whole thing, but you and I cut it a little short. But
okay.
What do you have on that, Krout? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, thank you, Davis, for the most
Thank
thoughtful
you.
message the BTBB podcast has ever received and may ever receive, and that is a challenge to all future fans. Talk about some electric sports talk about your favorite team.
Yeah.
Well done, sir.
Well informed.
What I will say though, AJ Pollock, he is a polished vet. I think him stepping into this, he can platoon a little bit like with Kelenic, like you said. I think that's a huge add for the Mariners. And I know he was only what, 8 mil. It's the first time they've signed a free agent in a long time. But I think that's exciting to see Seattle out of piece, even if it's small.
Yeah.
I do think that I don't know what you think about this, but I think Otani would be a great fit in Seattle. I think it'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. I think Davis was pretty spot on. But you got to remember like the price range of this guy.
Yeah.
And to unfortunately kind of quote, the guy who's sick right now, but the market is kind of at an all-time high. And when that dude becomes available, he is going to be the peak. So I don't know if Seattle can afford that. Davis seems to think they can, so he knows more than I do about the Seattle Mariners.
Yep.
So if they can afford that, I don't see why they wouldn't go after him. I think the Ichiro play is actually massive for him. This is a huge Japanese baseball influence in Seattle. So there's just massive influence there and people love it. And, LA's great for, there's a huge market there, a big chance, when he pitches for more tickets, prices to go higher, but I can only imagine that goes up more in Seattle. I hate to see it happen. Man. I'd hate to see him face the A's again for over and over and over again. But, for Seattle, I think if they want to make a run, like they want to get out of this rut of being a pretty poverty franchise in the eyes of Major League Baseball and get over this hump, then I think he's the guy to get you out of it. I really do.
I mean, what better way to make a splash into the league than, going out and getting a guy like Otani. I mean, think about this. In my mind, that would legitimately make them on par with what the Astros have been and what we've seen them be in the last couple of years. Obviously, right now we think about the Mariners and that they are a cute team and it was fun to root for them, but they are not even close to the Astros, and we saw that. Mm-hmm. I know people are going to say that divisional series was closer than it was.
Mm-mm.
The Astros, they played hard, and I'll give them that. But the Astros were going to win that series regardless.
Yeah.
Like, it was going to happen.
Absolutely.
In terms of the health, I think that's a great idea, too, to kind of bring up. I think you put him into a more polished rotation, though, one that, has Castillo locked up, Robbie Ray, who, Gilbert, more than Robbie Ray, obviously.
Yeah.
That's going to take some pressure off of him because right now, I'm a baseball fan. I don't even know if I can name the Angels 2 starter, Pablo something.
Yeah, I couldn't name him either. I think it's Otani and Trout. That's about all that's going on there, right? And they just signed Gio, right? Urshela, the Angels did. So, So where's Rendon gonna go? Like, there's a whole. They're problematic. They've been a problematic organization. Now let's be Tread's perspective and say what Tread would have said to Davis right after that message was said.
Yep. Should I go first?
Yeah, you go first. Yeah, take the lead.
Absolute clown. Total clown. For even thinking that. For even having an idea that your team would go out and sign a player. Otani's going to the Giants. It's obvious that if they didn't spend on Correa this year and they didn't spend on Judge, that they're going and waiting for Otani. Thank you.
Good. Yeah, I'm going to kind of do something similar, but I'm going to do a little different. Okay. How ignorant do you have to be to think that you're small, you make the playoffs once and you think you have a chance to deal with the money market that's the Giants? We obviously botched Correa's physical. We obviously didn't want Judge. We want Otani, and we're going to get him because we're the best team ever. 3 World Series in my lifetime. Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, we move on. We have another voice message.
Thank you, Davis, by the way.
Thank you,
We
Davis.
really, really appreciate that.
This is a record.
We have one more.
For the show. We have a voice message from Mr. Professor Ortholoka.
Back again to respond to Brad's quip at me at the end of the last episode. The Saints are bad because Dennis Allen's our head coach. Raiders fan guy, you should know about that. And Kamara did not get near the amount of touches that he should have when he is galaxies ahead of the next best offensive player on that roster. Shout out Chris Olave, great player. But we're talking about Kamara here, and dude's electric. Second off, Zion has MVP level numbers this year. I don't want to talk about it. Jokic is unbelievable, but Zion at the current efficiency rate that he has is close to an MVP, and has the Pelicans touching the 1 seed a few times this year already, and only 2.5 games back as I'm sending this message. So I won't stand for it. I won't stand for it at all. Talk more NBA. I want to hear Krout talk about the NBA with the NFL ending. That could be really fun. So yeah.
Oh God.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Perfect
I'll tell
segment.
you about the NBA, Brandon. I don't watch it. If I wanted to watch a sport where the players don't play until the last 30 minutes, I'd watch the NBA, and I don't.
Can you name 10
30 minutes
NBA
is actually
teams?
a long time in the NBA.
Yeah.
10
it
NBA
is.
teams. I got you. Ready?
Yep.
Pacers,
1,
Blazers,
2,
Pelicans,
3,
Celtics, Heat, Jazz,
6,
Grizzlies,
7.
the Supersonics. They don't exist anymore. We're gonna move
They're
on.
gone.
The Kings, the
Yeah.
Nets, the Knicks,
Yep. That's 10, I think. Maybe one
and
more.
the Bulls.
Nice. Really good job. Well done. That was good. That's the type of stuff I love out of our fans. That's why I said it, Brandon, because I baited you in, dude. I wanted you to send me a message all pissy about it. Of course, Zion's good. Cole, show the stats. I don't know what stats we're going to show, but Zion's obviously good. I just wanted to get you riled up.
So yeah, I guess we'll just jump into this roast of Kyle Treadway. What do you say, Brad?
I'm in on the roast. Let's start harsh and then work from there.
Maybe get lighter as we go, or maybe we'll
Maybe.
just get worse. We'll see.
Yeah, or we can just keep it going the
I
whole
don't know.
time.
I mean, I could be here all day. I could be here till the sun goes down.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
we might just be here till the sun goes down. We have
think
that
you're
much
right.
on him. Yep.
We do. Kind of like one of the best ways to describe Treadway. Let's see. Oh, this is one of my personal favorite stories. Judging by the fact that the dude orders green smoothies from Jamba Juice with like kale and stuff,
Mhm.
you'd assume that he likes vegetables.
Yeah.
By that order, right? I mean, he gets one like every 3 months, hoping that it'll change his life. But nonetheless, like you'd assume that he would prefer a vegetable or two on a sandwich, perhaps
Mhm.
even his own signature sandwich from
Mhm.
Phil's Subs, Phil's 1500, sponsor of the pod. Yes, that's right. This man Treadway does have his own sandwich.
Yep.
At the local Forest Grove eatery, Phil's 1500. Brad, do you want to go ahead and describe what's on a Treadway?
I can describe what's on a Treadway. We got
Please do.
chicken.
Chicken,
We have cheese.
cheese,
Is it Swiss
preferably
cheese? I believe it's Swiss
Swiss.
cheese. We have Worcestershire sauce, right? I think
I
that's
think
on
so.
there.
I think
and
there's
then
Yoshida's
Yoshida's is on it.
and Chipotle, right?
And Chipotle mayo. And that's it.
No. What else?
Oh, bread.
No, but what else?
Yeah. Are you expecting something else like lettuce or tomatoes or like anything?
Oh, there's none
nutritious?
of that.
No, there's none of that on
there's
there.
there's nothing nutritional on the sandwich.
No. Well, it tastes good. Shout out Phil's.
It
They
does
make a
taste
damn good Treadway. But yeah, to no one's surprise, there's not a single vegetable on the Treadway.
But what about the green smoothies? That's the disconnect I'm having right now. It's like, why
Yeah.
not just mix in the vegetables on the Treadway? That way you don't have to drink the green tea smoothie or the green smoothie.
I mean, you heard him on our New Year's show. You know, he wants to be better at intermittent fasting. So he wants to just drink a green smoothie once a month and then fast like every other week. And he'll be right back on par, he'll be ready to go. So that's Treadway's mindset. Do you remember, you tell the story so well, but do you remember the story that we were told our freshman year about what a Treadway was called in the Forest Grove region?
I'm trying to. I do remember this story. I'm trying to remember if it was like. I feel like it was a Shorty. Like it's a Shortyism. Like
Shout out Shorty.
Doesn't that sound right?
Yeah, it's a Shortyism for sure.
I'm pretty sure like it was our freshman year, and we were trying to figure out because someone was like, I think we were trying to put on weight at the time, so we're like trying to
Mm-hmm.
eat a lot of food, and so like we go to Tread, we're like Tread, like
As
we
you
want to
do.
bulk, yeah, yeah,
Good
Tread,
source.
we're trying to
We figured.
bulk. He's like, you came to the right source, and so we're like, how do you bulk? And he's just, of course, plugging his own sandwich, and so we're like, he's like, go get a Treadway. Go get a Treadway. And so we did. And, it's a good bulking mechanism. I'll be honest. A lot of
Yeah.
chicken, you order a large, get it on wheat bread, a lot of food there. So that was good. But I think we came back and we were like, probably had a similar conversation with Shorty, who's a much, Shorty likes the clean eats, right?
Mm-hmm. Very
And
conscious about
Shorty,
it.
I think we told him, like, oh yeah, like we're trying to bulk, but we can't keep eating these treadways. We can't keep going the way of the treadway. And he's like, a treadway? Isn't that where you hit McDonald's on the way home from Taco Bell? And we're like, Shorty. He's like, I'm not joking. I'm pretty sure that's like pretty on par for that man. And to be quite honest, and this is full transparency, I have hit that version of a treadway before. I have. But I think no, it's a
Yeah.
Krout. It's a different one. Remember, it was Panda Express and then get a McFlurry on the way home.
No. Oh yeah. But
Yeah.
Oh,
Put
really?
creatine in the McFlurry.
I thought I thought the kraut was when you order 6 McChickens and put 4 in your fridge for when you get hungry at night.
Yeah, yeah. This meal prep shit is so easy, bro.
It's so simple. Why are they making
I
it so
mean,
difficult?
it's so easy when I have such a good mentor, right? And just hitting treadways all day. So
I have vivid memory of you waking up in Beham, because you tried to go to bed at 9 o'clock because you were like a good student and stuff, and we'd all be up, and you'd wake up at like 11 o'clock, just full,
yeah.
just in your worst state,
I'm so
half
hungry.
asleep. I'm so hungry, and you'd go in the fridge and you'd go grab like a day old McChicken and just put that baby down and go
Yeah.
right back to bed.
No microwave either. Because the
No.
lettuce and mayo, you just eat it cold. Honestly,
Eat it
just
cold.
go for
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. So
You know what?
Tread,
You know what Tread told me? I actually have another little story. This man Tread, like I had a decently successful sophomore season. I hit 9 home runs by some way of God that I somehow found enough barrel that and the wind was on the right trajectory that the ball
decently
left
successful. Jesus. Yeah. Okay.
the park. It wasn't great, dude. I struck out a lot, let's be honest. And this man,
Okay.
he comes
Sure.
to me and he's like, who do you want to be in your life? And I'm like, okay, that's pretty serious. He's like, no, seriously, like what kind of career do you want to have? I'm like, a good one, like most people and most
Yeah.
players that do things.
Yeah.
And he's like, you need to be like putting up freaking shows in BP. I'm talking like you need to like transform your body. If you like put on enough weight, you will be the best version of yourself. And I wish I could go back and just backhand this man at that moment, because I took that advice and I ran with it. I'm talking chocolate milk.
Yep.
Like a liter of chocolate milk every 2 days.
Yep.
Like you're talking about the 6 McChickens.
Mm-hmm.
Just like, JJ knows this one, apple cake and ice cream every night. You remember that one at the Shive House?
Yeah. Yep.
And I reached 240 pounds.
Unbelievable.
240 pounds. I'm like 190 pounds right now. So picture this face.
Double it.
You've seen the memes where they like enhance Garrett Cole's face and make it fatter every retweet?
Every retweet. Yeah, that's you. You
Imagine
were the last
100
retweet.
retweets. Imagine 100 retweets of my face. And I come back and like, I'm gonna send Cole a picture because this is so disgusting. You've seen the picture of me like in the batter's box with my belly hanging over my belt.
Oh yeah, I thought you were talking. Well, we
and this
took
man
a
Tread's
picture
like,
together. Yeah, and you had your belly hanging out like right over me. It's hilarious.
This man Treadway, he goes, well, you really took my advice. You're about to have a crazy season. I'm really proud of you. And I was like, yes. For the first time ever, Tread said he was proud of me. I'm gonna do it. I could not hit the ball out of the park for the life of me. I hit 0 home runs. Everyone else on the team had like,
Except
I hate
me.
to do this to you, Brad. You remember what Bill said, right?
It was just you and me. We were the only two
It was
guys who had
just you
not
and
had
me.
a home
The
run.
only 2 guys in the lineup that didn't have a home run was 240-pound fat ass Krout, and then Brad, who
couldn't even get to a $140 at that time. Yeah.
You are fine.
But it
Me
was
being that way.
hilarious.
Oh, dude, so fat. And so honestly, Tread, worst advice you've ever given me. Um, but yeah, man, just terrible advice. And if I could go back and just backhand you for telling me to get as fat as I could. And you know what? Like I hate to say this, but COVID saved my career. Like, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Like it was halfway through the season and like Bills was like, yeah, it's just you and Brad without a homer. It's kind of embarrassing. And I was like, God, please, something, anything. What could come and just give me like a break from these at
Somebody
bats?
throw me a fastball down the middle, please, for God's sake.
And then
That's what you were
finally,
saying.
COVID
Well,
end of the season, I was like, what a relief. I can go, maybe lose a couple LBs and swing the bat.
you
Swing the
did.
bat
You
again,
lost a
so.
lot of pounds from there. And then Tread was disappointed in you,
Yeah, he's like,
as he would be.
he did. He's like, yeah, looks like you kind of just given up on the journey. I was like, yeah, dude, because 240 pounds does not mean homers. It means high blood pressure. Thanks
Yeah.
a lot for that.
What's
Now
your
I'm hypertensive as a
Yeah.
freaking 22-year-old.
Because
Yeah, dude, it's awesome when the
you-
nurses compliment my veins. You know what's not awesome? Being
When they all-
150 over 90, Tread. Thanks a lot.
Krout, what's that story you said? You go, I went and got my blood drawn today, and it started off great. The nurse told me that I had great veins, my forearms looked awesome, and I looked really great. And then in the next minute, she told me I had hypertension.
I had hypertension and I should come back for a follow-up visit. Maybe think about
That was
medication.
the
As a
same
22-year-old athlete, college athlete, awesome advice,
Athlete.
Tread. Thanks. Before
Yeah.
we get into the more lighthearted stuff, one more for old Tread, and I know he loves this one. I know he'll be chomping at the bit.
Okay.
And no, I don't think it'll get him fired because it was great
Well-
advice. Great advice for my fearless Red Wave leader, Kyle Treadway.
Okay, let's hear it.
So I come in as a freshman. I look probably similar to how I do now. Shout out Brad for the Kirko chains shirt.
Mhm.
Absolute fire.
Mhm.
Pretty skinny. Did I just say I was skinny? I'm not that skinny. I'm skinny fat now. But
Freshman year,
pretty
you were
skinny.
skinny.
very, very skinny, right? I would slouch like this. For those of you that don't know me, I have what they call cereal bowl chest on the street. Pectus excavatum. Cole, don't throw in a picture because honestly, it's not very appealing to look at. But I remember you could kind of tell because I was so skinny and I'd hunch forward. And I think maybe Tread came up to me and he gave me one of those kind of like celebratory, chest
Punches
bumps,
in the chest.
fists.
Yeah.
And he goes, whoa, holy, what's wrong with your chest? And hey, you know what, Brad? You too, you're not innocent either because I remember the first time you saw it, you're like, how do you wash it? And Cole was like, what do you mean, how do you wash it? He takes showers like everybody else.
Okay.
He's like,
Half
and you go,
a second.
yeah, you
Half
explain
a
it.
second, please. Can I explain myself? First of
Yeah,
all,
please do. Please do.
First of all, I will admit there was at first glance when you've never seen anybody with the chest thing, it's interesting, right?
No, call it cereal bowl chest. It's fine. We're okay with that.
Cereal bowl chest. When you see the cereal bowl chest for the first time, it's a wild sight. It is.
Mhm.
It's pretty wild.
Imagine
And-
when I saw it for the first time. Dad,
Okay.
why are all the other kids at the pool not like me? And he's like, just deal with it, Ryan. Stop being so soft.
So, but my initial question, right? We were good. We were friends at this point. Like we were
Yep.
freshman year friends. So we were like, all we had was each other and like 5 other dudes, and we were not that close yet.
We had seen each other naked at this point several times,
Okay, sure, yeah.
bonded
But-
on a personal level. Yeah.
Yeah, hence why I could see you without a shirt. And I was looking at you with your chest, and I like immediate concern came over me where I was like, can you wash your chest because it's so close to your heart because how inverted it is? But it was like a
Yeah.
moment where I spoke without thinking. And
Mhm.
of course
Words
everyone
came
was
out.
there. And of course everybody
Yep.
just absolutely roasted the hell out of me for saying that. But let me tell you, it's not weird. It's normal. I've seen so many guys with the same thing now. Like it's actually crazy that, it's pretty common. But it was like a moment where I a lapse of thought.
I mean, like I take pretty hot showers. So like, or cold showers. So, you were just looking out for me. You're like, hey,
I
maybe
don't want your
monitor
heart
the
to
shower
stop.
temp.
Yeah,
You don't want the heart to just all of a sudden get too cold or too warm and just explode. So
exactly. Those were my thoughts.
I appreciate you. But I think what he said was even worse. This is a college baseball coach who took a lot of college classes related to the coaching career. I believe minored in it, maybe.
Yeah, he minored in it.
Poli sci major for those wondering. That's why he loves talking. But he comes to me in this moment where he figures out I have the chest dent, right? And he goes, "Yeah, I mean, honestly, dude, I can tell like you just don't lift very many weights." Like, but it's cool. It's cool because like that means there's a lot of room for growth. Like you're a talented young man, you have a lot of raw power, but like look at your chest. Like you haven't even scratched the surface. And I'm like, can you elaborate? And he's like, yeah, dude, like you haven't even filled out your chest yet.
We need you to bench press more.
He's like, if you bench and fly a lot and you fill that out, like that's obviously like an avenue for growth.
No,
like,
he did not say that.
Yeah. Yes. He's like, if you fly more, like that'll go away. Like my brother's second cousin's Jerry's brother's buddy like had the same thing, and he started flying more, and that just went away. So honestly, like, you just don't lift enough. And I was like, this is sick. College baseball. My coach is like literally telling me my birth defect is a result of not working hard enough. Like, but you know what? Like, this is what I'll say to Tread, and this will lead into the more positive things about him as a coach.
Yeah. We've been hard.
He like, you want to make him proud so bad, but you just never can. And you know what? That's a good thing, because if he ever came to me and he's like, you did a good job, I'd be like, oh, time to stop. You know what I mean? So like,
yeah. It's like a weird father figure thing.
Is that what people do? No, dude, that's not what they do, Tread.
Yeah.
God. You tell someone you're proud of them and they go, really? Oh, sick. I'm going to work harder now.
Yeah.
You know what? He's really low key, like deep down. I'm going to get this out here so he can't say it. I know you love this, Tread. I know you love us talking
He's
about
eating
you,
this
but
up.
we're going to continue to do it.
Yeah.
I think at this point in the show, we should just transition and tell some fun stories. Maybe that include, the big Kyle.
I actually really like that because,
just like, kind of like embarrassing stories. Like if we were the best men at his wedding,
this is great.
He didn't do a good job. So we're just going to embarrass him on the air. Okay.
Yeah.
We're just going to air him out. Okay.
Yeah. Tread always told us, because, he was a young coach like Krout and myself. But when we got to Pacific and played, and he told us, like jokingly in the dugout, he'd be like, that's going to get me fired one day. Well, Tread, meet your maker. Just kidding. We're not going to do that. But, I feel like that story might be a compliment. I was going to talk about how he made me flip the tire when I was a freshman, and then I almost passed out.
No, talk about it.
So
it's okay. It's okay
right,
if we can.
All right, we can. Yeah,
we'll
reminisce.
Honestly, we just miss him. Let's be honest. No, we don't.
Yeah.
All right, moving on.
Yeah. Anyway, stand up to Tread. So my freshman year, Tread was the head coach of the Red Wave program that I was playing on, that Krout was also playing on. So we would have lifts on Sundays to get better, right? And we had big old Tread
because we were weak.
Yeah, we were weak, and we had big old Tread as our weightlifting coach. So that guy was the guy to teach us how to weightlift when we were younger, which yikes, by the way, because he hasn't touched a weight in a long time. But I have a story where we started off with these lifting groups, and Tread brought out the big tire. Okay. So reminiscing a little bit, our freshman year, Krout and I lived on the same floor. We had different roommates. Shout out Trainer Warren and Tanner Johnson, avid listeners. But we lived on the first floor together. So it was us, and it was about 6 other baseball players, Con Chase, Koa, Ryan Shear, and then Geese would come from Walter, and so did Brandon. So we all grew up super tight-knit group our freshman year. And for those of you who know Brandon, or, if you just went to Adopted by Food on Instagram just now, you also probably saw that there's some weightlifting stuff in there. He's huge. So, and he's been that way his whole life. So freshman year, Tread brings out the big tire, which I don't know how many pounds is that tire, Krout?
I'll go like 100 p.
Definitely more than 100 pounds. I was thinking it was more like 300 something pounds, but maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe not.
Let's
It was
meet
the
in the
big
middle.
one.
Let's meet in the
Okay.
middle. 200.
Whatever.
Okay.
So we are lifting as a group because all of us are in this weightlifting group, and I'm bar none the weakest one, right? I'm not big. I'm small.
No.
I was.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, I was.
Okay.
I was the weakest one. And I had this ultra competitive like atmosphere in these weightlifting groups because A, Tread was leading it, and B, I was super close to these guys. I didn't want to embarrass myself because I didn't know what the weight room was. So the first day he brings out this massive tire and I can't flip it. I'm the only guy who cannot flip this tire. It is absolutely embarrassing. Okay. And this is getting kind of heartfelt. Unfortunately, I really wanted this to be a roast, but this is kind of the moment that Tread and I kind of bonded. But I told him, he could kind of see in my eyes that I was upset. I had this little like anger moment. I was really competitive about it. And he told me that day, he goes, "You're going to flip this tire. You're going to do it." I didn't believe him. I legit like could not get it off the ground, and he just brutally taught me all the wrong ways to lift heavy weight. But mainly
Use your back, scream.
Yeah.
Don't brace.
But mainly
do it.
fired me up and all of us up enough to get a lot stronger and to work out a lot more. And by golly, I flipped that tire at the end of the year and everyone was there. It was so hype. Tread gave me a big old hug. And then I like passed out because it was so heavy. But it was cool. And yeah, but still like, that guy sucks. Anyway, your turn, Krout.
Yep. I'm trying to think like, okay, yeah. Here's one. When I played at a tournament at Pacific.
Okay.
In high school, my junior year of high school, my junior summer going into senior year. A lot of family in Forest Grove. Pacific was like a dream school for me. Wanted to come here, wanted the opportunity to play on the baseball team. And I was a pitcher. I wanted to pitch. Okay. I remember like walking around around the back and seeing this ginormous mammoth human wearing a bucket hat, running around the grill, just burning burgers, referring to himself as Grill Master Tread. And I was like, who is this football player they freaking like got work study for to like run this tournament? And my dad's like, no, dude, I'm pretty sure that's the pitching coach. And I was like, no, it's not. Like, this guy's a clown. Like, this guy's a certified clown. He's running around referring to himself as Grill Master Tread. And yeah, I remember like pitching in that tournament and just getting absolutely licked. Like, probably not even recording it out and like giving up 4 or 5 runs, getting pulled. And Grill Master Tread comes into the dugout and he like looks at my coach. He's like, there's like 4 guys on this team I really want, and I was not one of them. And then the next day I like swung the bat as like a PO, and Bills was like, "Oh, this guy actually has good bat speed," and recruited me. But if it wasn't for that, Grill Master Tread would have just ruined my dreams. So,
oh my God.
I think back to that day, and like I hate Grill Master Tread, because he didn't like me as a pitcher. So, actually, my sophomore year of college, I asked Tread for some like heavy metal lifting music, and I made a playlist called DJ Grillmaster. And Cole, throw up the picture. I'll send it to you. I'll even send the link for the Spotify if you guys want some banger heavy metal lifting music.
It's good. It's solid.
Just because I look at that picture and I think of Grillmaster, and I think it just fires me up to be like, screw you and screw your burnt burgers that were like $17. I am a good enough pitcher.
We've done enough.
You can smell the Morton's.
Burgers.
You can smell the Morton's steak seasoning that they just poured over those.
Yeah,
man. So I mean, that's Grill Master Tread. One of my favorite stories of Kyle. Yeah, man. You got anything else?
I just remember, I don't know if we can. We'll go a different path, but
okay.
Basically, like, Tread is very, very intimidating. He's a very intimidating human being. And, it takes kind of like a special bond to get that like teddy bear out of him, which, Krout and I have successfully done. Of course, you guys know that.
Oh God, I hope you're taking this where you're taking this.
Why?
No, just keep going.
Okay. Well, just to put it into perspective. So our freshman year, we had a fellow teammate didn't show up to a 10 o'clock lift, right? Or he was going to be late, and he was going to be late. So he decided, best case, don't go. Maybe they'll miss me, right? And well, Tread didn't miss him. Tread knew he wasn't there. And he made him run and plank and run and plank and run and plank until he was bedridden for 24 hours. Okay. So
until he might have done what the death word was in the first week. Go back and watch.
Good job, Krout. Good plug. Anyway, he bad. He definitely did the death word for sure. Absolutely. So a couple days go by, and Tanner and I, freshman roommates, we were roommates. We had practice at 9 a.m. Okay, so not that early, not crazy. But under remarkable circumstances, like this is shortly after the event happened with the other teammate. Under remarkable circumstances, Tanner and I both set an alarm, and we both hit stop instead of snooze, like an hour before practice. Okay. And I think these stories are crazy because every athlete has like a fear of being late to something, like a fear of missing your alarm. Well, I woke up about 8 minutes to practice, maybe 10, 8, it might be a little much, but 10 minutes to practice. Tanner and I freaked out because we saw what had just happened.
Yeah, you knew it was in for you.
So we grabbed our pants and our shirt, and I kid you not, like my pants weren't on. My shirt was not tucked in. I don't even think I had a hat. Thank God my gear was at the field. We sprinted. So this is like probably like a healthy, like, what would you say, Kraut, from the dorms? Like a 10-minute walk, maybe?
Yeah. 10
That's
to 12. No,
probably
I
10
mean to the field, we're talking like 12 to 15.
Yeah, 15 on a slow day.
No,
slow
10.
day.
10
Okay,
to 12.
10.
10 to 12.
All right, yeah, whatever. We're sprinting in the middle of the street at 8:55 in the morning, sprinting. And let me tell you, Tanner Johnson, fast dad bod
Quick
guy.
twitch.
Let me tell you.
Giant calves on that guy.
Giant
Huge.
calves, was gone. Could not see him. I don't know if I was sleep deprived, but he kicked my butt that day in that race. And we showed up at 8:59 a.m., which is almost worse. Oh my God, I actually just unlocked a memory. You called me. That's how I woke up.
Oh.
Do you remember? You called me.
Good teammate right here.
Yeah, and you said
I think I do remember that. I was going, hey, Brad, I don't know if you want to vomit.
Yeah.
But you better get here, bud.
Yeah. And I just said, oh, shit, and then dropped the phone and ran. And Tanner and I show up a minute before practice, which is taboo, of course. And Tread gave us the works but not physically. We never ran because we weren't late technically. But man, did he make Tanner and I feel like even smaller than I am, believe it or not. It was horrific. It was the worst day of my life. And I don't think I was ever, that close to being late ever again because he scared me that much. This is turning into like a good episode about Tread, isn't it?
I mean, it's kind of fun because like I hope it wouldn't happen. Like if one of us missed an episode that we like do a roast and then just like tell fun stories and be nice to that person.
Yeah.
But
we have,
yeah, I mean, we can take,
hey,
Tread, what is this? Why do you do this? Why do you do this when you're trying to roast people? Why do you turn into a robot? Stop it.
This is you too when you do points. Open hand, because you have a big goddamn hand and you think it intimidates people, right? So you do this and you're like,
Brad, we have to like recommit to our New Year's resolution.
Yeah. I'm still on all talk Tread, dude. I'm still on all talk Tread because Tread is still all talk. He's not here.
I would say for the fans, a little call to action. Share your most embarrassing Tread stories,
Pictures
and maybe
included would be
ones
great.
pictures included. I'll throw up the picture of DJ Grillmaster.
Yep.
Maybe Cole can make a little collage of the Farva picture, aforementioned
Mm-hmm.
Farva picture from previous episodes.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, man. Um, Tread, we're no longer scared of you. I think that's kind of where we're at. Like we're kind of just discussing the path in which we took. We are no longer scared of you, Tread.
This is the moment it all flipped right here. Two
Like
guys.
we're really gonna be afraid of DJ Grillmaster.
Exactly. We're going to be afraid of the guy.
Who does this?
Have you seen him dance? Yeah. Have you watched him dance?
I have seen him dance. I just went to Nashville with him.
How can you be scared of that guy?
You can't.
You can't be. Tread's probably somewhere in his Brock Purdy jersey right now.
Yes. He's in his Brock Purdy jersey. Probably just really enjoying the Niners making the playoffs and getting the Hawks.
How crazy is that? I mean, this is storybook, right?
It's really storybook. I mean, Tread on the pod a couple weeks ago did say that the Seahawks are going to make the playoffs just to like ruin his life.
Yeah.
So I mean, he kind of called it. Like that would be quite a crazy upset. Honestly, I'm kind of hoping for it. Not that I love to see Tread in pain, but
we like to see Tread in pain.
Well, I love to see Tread in pain. Yeah.
So. Yeah, that's simple. But we do have a fun little interview coming up. Speaking of the Seahawks and the Niners, so that'll be fun. But I think what the people are really dying for, Brian James, how was the ABCA convention?
Yeah, man. Like let's get into it a little bit. Let's just jump right in.
I am like, so excited.
Nashville is like a amazing city. City. Grammar. Nashville's awesome, dude. It's really, 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 really cool. I mean, like just for context, like people say there's live music everywhere. Like there is live music everywhere. I was walking to the convention from the hotel, stopped in the McDonald's to grab a nice little iced coffee on my walk. They have a stage in McDonald's. They have a stage in McDonald's, and there was an 80-year-old guitar player setting up to play at like 8:30 a.m. in the morning in a McDonald's.
At an old McDonald's.
They're gonna play live music at a McDonald's. So they legitimately do have live music everywhere. I mean, Broadway Street, it's like Las Vegas for country people.
That's awesome.
It's super, super fun, man. But that's just Nashville in general. Really good food, people are sweet, and then a lot of good music. But the convention itself, I mean, couldn't have picked a better city to host it in. Obviously, the hotel that they have it at is just massive. And it's kind of crazy because you show up and you're like, yeah, like I'm special, right? Like there's not that many people with like crappy facial hair that wear like, hats and polos and khakis and are living
Coach
this
illustrious
illustrious dream of coaching collegiate baseball. There's many, Brad.
Oh, okay. I mean, we're not that special, I guess.
No, we're not that special. So like it's a good reminder that we are just a speck of dust because there are so many colleges out there with so many coaches that think they're so cool. So yeah, just a good reminder to not take yourself too seriously doing this job. But the content, man, I mean, I learned a lot. I think the best part is like you get some of your preconceived notions are challenged while others are kind of validated. So it's a good mix of like going back to the drawing board. It's the new year. You're about to start your college baseball season. In terms of a coach, you've been preparing, and some of the things that you were probably like looking forward to doing are going to be challenged, and other things are going to be validated. I think one of the coolest people I heard speak in like a pitching hot stove, which is crazy because I went to a pitching hot stove. I just wanted to learn a little bit about pitching.
I'm sure Tread dragged you there. I'm sure that's why you went.
No, I actually was like, I made it my goal just to like become a more well-rounded coach, to have like, learn some base knowledge about the art of pitching.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, these people were not just up there preaching throw strikes for 2.5 hours.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, some of them were, but not all of them. There was this really cool guy from like 108 Performance. That's the name of his company. I know his first name is Eugene. Last name starts with a B. Can't remember his full name. but yeah, he's kind of like a guy on Twitter and social media, puts out a lot of good content. But man, it was just cool to hear him speak. And I think what I took away from him is like the game of baseball helps is so easily helps people train to be specific at this sport that like oftentimes coaches get in the way of that. So
Yeah.
um one of the coolest things he said, he's like, I've learned more um about how to help my big leaguers by watching little kids throw than I have learned how to help little kids throw them like by watching big leaguers. Does that make sense?
It makes sense to me. I hope it makes sense to everybody
Yeah.
else, but yes, it makes sense. It makes sense to me. Yes.
He's like,
Yeah.
we have it right. And as coaches, we just throw arbitrary terms at kids for no other reason than that. That's like what we were taught, and that was what was passed down. So I don't know about you.
Yep.
I'm gonna have
That makes
to I'm gonna have
sense.
to have a serious talk with Todd, because Todd is the only reason I wasn't a Division 1 baseball player and or professional baseball player. Thanks a lot, Dad.
It was
But
Todd's fault now.
when you and your coaching buddy made me do 20 push-ups every time I threw sidearm from shortstop, come on.
Yeah. Nope.
You rob. I know you knew no better. You were just trying to help, trying to keep my arms safe. But in reality, like, we cause kids injury, we cause kids like a lack of performance because we rob them of like their natural tendencies. It's the same idea that like people naturally will swing the bat differently. And we've kind of gotten closer to that there's not one magic pill that you can take, one magic swing. There's not one magic way to throw the baseball. But just doing so in like an effortless and a natural way for like your body and your anatomy
Yeah.
is the best way to go about it.
That's so
He
fascinating.
yeah, he had a lot of good stuff that like could translate to the hitting realm too. But also just like really awesome stuff about how to restore a pitcher's natural arm action. So he actually worked with Kumar Rocker
Okay.
after Kumar didn't pass his physical. He was
Crazy
drafted, I
story.
believe, number 1 or number 2 overall by the Mets.
Mm-hmm.
This went unsigned out of Vandy, for those that don't know. And he returned and was signed a free agent deal, and everyone's on Twitter, and he's telling this story. It's really cool. He's like, and he came back. I don't know if you saw Kumar throw online
Mm-hmm.
after,
Yeah.
but everyone was like what? Like he's not using his legs at all. Like blah 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 blah. He's not doing anything. But in reality, like they had restored what was actually natural for him that was coached out of him. And he regained his velo that he had lost, regained feel and command, and it's kind of just incredible because he's healthier than he's ever been. And
Hmm.
it's just interesting to think that over time we've thought that throw like any mechanics in general, whether that's hitting, fielding, pitching,
Yeah.
like baseball is beautiful because there's not one way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And the quicker we as coaches realize that like players will self-adapt as long as we just give them the right environments to train in, the better off we'll be. I think we get too involved most times. And so it's been cool and it's been awesome for me, like especially these first couple of days of practice. Just give the kids a tough environment and let them do what you know that they're capable of doing. And
Yeah.
if you need a little intervention, give it to them.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, he takes his pitchers and he'll like make them do like super athletic throws. Like he'll make his pitchers do like back picks to first. Like as a catcher, he'll make his pitchers do throws on the run from like fielding a bunt from third base, with like weighted balls to kind of feel the overload, kind of feel what it feels like, turn double plays. And he
Mm-hmm.
asks them to do it with like an 80% effort level because he's asking them to do it in a way that feels super, super effortless, to kind of get them back to what they've been trained away from, whether that's
Mm.
with how they've trained in the weight room, that their muscles are now tight in certain areas, or their mechanics have been kind of preached away from them by coaches. That he's just trying to return that to natural, and the health and the performance of these people has just skyrocketed. So I mean, it was awesome. I like was so locked in.
That's so cool.
I know that's a lot of info, but
So as the hitting guy, your favorite speech was a pitching coach?
yeah, I mean, that's like ABCA in a nutshell, man. Like I went to the hitting hot stove, and while it was good and there was some good speakers, like I felt like that. And I mean, he had stuff that translated to hitting too. I mean, it's all one and the same. Like rotational athletes are going to be rotational. Um, I think there's a
That's
big focus on deceleration too. Are you familiar with that?
I know what deceleration is as a concept, yes, but why don't you explain it for the people?
Sure. So deceleration, the idea that I always like relate it back to a car. Like if I'm trying to explain this, like a high school player, like with
I
diamond
think that's
sports or
the
whatever.
thing that decelerates the most in the world. But yeah, go ahead. Keep going. Accelerates,
Exactly,
decelerates. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, yeah. Good job.
But like we're always talking about building the engine, right? Swinging quicker,
Yep.
increasing our bat speed so we can
Yep.
increase our exit velocity.
Mm-hmm.
But like what is a really, really big engine if it can't stop or turn or have something to control that energy? It's just going to
Mm.
be a drag car that just goes as fast as it can, super uncontrolled. And you've
Mm.
seen what happens when those lose control, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
it's bad.
it's bad. It's bad.
They need
Um,
parachutes for a reason.
yeah. And so, yeah, I mean, it was really cool to like learn a lot about deceleration, kind of the idea that if you don't block properly throughout the kinetic chain, that you're losing out on whatever size engine you have, you know?
Mm-hmm.
If you swing the bat really hard, but you can't transfer that up, you know, from your hips to your torso to your shoulders to your elbow to your hands or to your wrist to your hands to the bat,
Yep.
if you can't make those things break on a dime, um, then all that energy is just lost. It's kind of the idea that like if you're gonna swing, but like you pull off, you've just lost all of that energy that you could have transferred up to the next step in the chain.
Mm.
So I mean, there was a lot of really awesome stuff about that, which I think is awesome. I really really do. But yeah, man, do you have any questions about it?
So as the infield guy in this triangle,
Mm-hmm.
we're without the third tonight, but we have pitching,
Mm-hmm.
hitting, and fielding. So as the infield guy, give me something that I can take to. Okay, I'll ask you this question in general.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, for everybody listening out there, but as if you're talking to me as a coach and I have 15 to 25 infielders, okay, tell me one thing that you learned at the ABCA convention that I can take to my infield that you don't think anybody else is doing properly right now, or you think that not enough programs are doing to their athletes in the infield right now? If you had to pick something to tell me.
Yeah, I mean, I listened to the infield coach at IMG Academy speak. He did a clinic
Wow.
kind of presentation, which was really, really cool. And his biggest thing, which I agree on, is um, we obviously infield and fielding ground balls is an open chain activity. There's so
Mm-hmm.
much variability in that. You're never going to take the same ground ball twice. Exactly.
Yep. Yep.
Um, and what we've learned about like hitting is like we need to make the practice environments harder, and the more we can make them game like, the better off we'll be once we get to the games. Same thing with weightlifting. The
Yeah.
more we can structure, lifting weights, hitting, how we train to actually represent how we do things in a game is really the best way to go in my opinion. So his biggest thing is he's huge on seeing as live reps as you can, and as well as like challenging guys with internal clocks. Obviously, you're not going to want to have your guys sprint down the line 100 times so
Exactly.
your players can see. But using a clock, and we've done this before, but he was really big on it. Using a clock to force guys to make plays in a time frame, not just make the play, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it does no good if you organize a certain way, but it takes 7 seconds and the guy has been on the bag for 2 seconds already. So
Got it.
um, he was big on that. And then the other thing he was big on, which is something that we talked to today at practice about, is um, like hitting ground balls can be super, super like the translation of that to an actual spin off of a bat of a ball that's coming towards the hitter and then redirected back out to the field is so different than just hitting a fungo
Mm-hmm.
from certain angles on the field. So something he would do is he'd actually put an L screen about like 10, 15 feet in front of the mound, and he'd stand in the box with his fungo, and he would have a guy like soft toss some balls, and he would kind of just thwack balls all over the infield, and kind of do like a live, scrimmage type environment where he would
Yeah.
just kind of hit the balls around the infield, doing anything to make it as game speed as possible. And he put base runners in there. And so everything is on a clock. Everything is trying to be catered towards what it might feel like to actually play in a game. Because I don't know about
Mm.
you. What do you think about defense and where we're at right now? I mean, sometimes it seems like I'm not saying this is how we train necessarily, but just infield in general, we break it down so much sometimes that we kind of
Yep.
lose sight of the whole it as a whole. Does that kind of make sense?
Exactly. Yep. Yeah, it's I did kind of have a realization a little bit, prepping recently for what we're doing this spring. Um, and you when you think about in a vacuum how infielders train, you really think about how standard it is, like how you were saying, it's very, very minute with like, there's not a whole lot of differentiation when they're at shortstop taking ground balls from a coach, right? Like you're gonna get probably, let's say you field like 30 ground balls, you're probably gonna get like maybe 8 of them will be completely different, like unique ground balls, right? And if you really break down what an infielder does in a game, a lot of the time they have one chance to make a play on something that they've never seen before, maybe. But they most likely, if they haven't taken a lot of reps, they have not practiced that ball exactly, that week to prepare for this movement that they have to do. And I think from what I've been trying to learn recently is if you allow an infielder to move just extremely frequently, like move in various random directions and make them just like, as Dusty used to say, our infield coach when we were playing, one of our friend of the pod, you got to play on your edges really well. And as I know what he means by that in terms of you have to be able to turn corners and run around, run on your edges really well, right? Like change directions. But the more you practice that, the more that play that you never thought you could make, or the ball that you've never seen before, and after you make the play, man, like, wow, I made that play. That's pretty crazy. And it's because you're used to like all these different movements. So I think that it's super interesting that this guy put the L screen, in front. I think that's super cool. I think that's unique because a lot of people do side toss, but we all know that that's not all that natural, right? So I think any kind of natural ground ball you can get is great, but I really am hungry for the ground ball that an infielder takes at practice and goes, man, that was super weird. And they most likely didn't make the play, right? That's the ground ball that I want the infielder to be like, I need to try that again because that was crazy. And again, like just failure orientated sport, man. It's all over the place. Like if you go out to an infield and you take 100 ground balls and you make an error, you make errors on, you're a college level athlete, you're a college level infielder, and you make errors on 50% of them, right? 50 of them, then you probably learned a lot about some ground balls that you did not know about prior. Because if you're a college athlete, you're probably making the standard play pretty easily. So, I really look for that, like we had our, not to get too specific about Pacific, but we had one of our first times, the guys taking infield today was one of the first times they got some reps, and there was some errors out there, and I'm really trying to push them. They're young, a lot of young guys. You can't get upset about making an error in a college practice because you got to be able to be willing to make an error in order to make like that crazy play that you've never made before. So it's exciting, man. I think we're in a crazy time in baseball. I think I would say we're at like the peak of training in baseball right now. It's crazy. If we had this stuff when you and I were young, I can't even like imagine what it would have felt like when we were younger to when we transpired to being older baseball players. So I just hope, that people really take what you thought about the ABCA convention and like really think about it. We're going to get Tread's input coming up here shortly when he's not sick. And we're going to get a third party who is also at the ABCA convention. Hopefully we're going to get him to speak his words too. So you guys get a little bit of diverse thoughts on the convention. Cause was it hectic in terms of how many things there were? Like, were you trying to take in just way too much information at one time?
I mean, I would kind of equate it to, let's see. I mean, there's no physical way for you to do everything. Maybe like going to like a museum and you have to pick and choose what exhibits you're going to go to because there's just too much content. So having another guy there, another couple guys there from the program was nice because we could kind of pick out how we were going to go about it. But man, didn't sleep much. It was just so much stuff to be had. But yeah, I would say next year I'm really going to try to research the speakers a little bit more. That way I have a really good idea of who I can't miss, who I need to be at their presentation.
Yeah.
Aside from all the presentations, there's also hot stoves. So that's kind of like a round table where you kind of just listen in on some really cool minds of the game, kind of have discussions. There's the clinic presentations at the main stage, which are more structured. But then there's also a trade show, which is a lot of gear, equipment, but at the same time, like a lot of the drive lines, the 108 performances. There was like some biomechanics, motion capture stuff, presentations going on. So a lot of really cool stuff. There's so much. You got to pick and choose really where you're going to go.
That's awesome.
Something really quick that when you talked about, like, brought up in my head is just like how watered down baseball training was when we were like coming up through it. And it's just, it's crazy to me that it's only, I would say, in the past 5 or 6 years that we've admitted that baseball was so wrong in how we trained. Like,
Yeah.
the game is so hard, so let's make practice easy to build confidence. Like, in what other sport do they make practice easier than the game?
Yeah.
That's the new frontier of coaching defense, in my opinion, is like, I know we've been privileged enough to talk to, a major league infield coach and how he went about some of his training with a third baseman, talking about, you hit 90-mile-an-hour sinkers off the machine. Why don't you try to field 90-mile-an-hour topspin sinkers?
Yep.
Like, you'll never know if you don't try. And yes, you're going to fail, but like, that's the best part about it. It does no good to go take 100 cherry hops and then have to go face 95 sinker top spin line drive right at you in the game. Like, it's really, really cool to see that all aspects of baseball are kind of taking on that avenue, because, man, like, the way that we train and the performance of our guys has, I mean, you've seen it firsthand. Like, just they're just different players when they start to train like that.
Yeah. And it's
but
crazy
yeah,
to think about that, like, a 4-year window is actually relatively not that long, right? And
No.
but the jump created when I think it's so interesting when you get to a place that trains very failure orientated, like we talked about, because you have to mentally be okay when that happens. There's a switch, and I think that was kind of our generational gap, like you and I, when we came into college ball. Like, it was there was a no, practice isn't supposed to be failure oriented, like you were saying, right? And mentally it was hard for us to be like, oh, it's okay to be bad at this drill, right? Like, if you're a good infielder, you don't want to, like, an error is the death of you, right? Like, that's taboo. So making an error at any element is like, oh, I'm off my game, right? Like, making an error at practice is like, oh, I'm off. I'm not, that was bad. I never make errors. When in actuality, like, if you address the error for what the problem is, like, again, address the symptom of what's going on, then you can see what the cause is, right? And then that error will probably not happen the next time, or you'll be closer to making the play, right? But you have to mentally also be okay making mistakes, being bad at practice. Some nights there's nights where you're bad at practice, and everybody says that, right? Like, oh yeah, like, I was told that by my dad when we would have little league games or whatever, right? Like, oh, everybody has a bad practice. Yeah, but then you let it wear on you when you need to go back and go, man, I stunk, but holy crap, that sinker off the machine trying to pick that ball was so hard. That was ridiculous. How do I get better at that? And then all of a sudden it just gets easier, right?
Yep. I remember the first time we ever, like, hit off the machine freshman year of college. Like, I shit you not, I swung 30 times in a row and did not make contact one time.
Air. Yep. And if Krout was doing that, you can guess what I was doing on that same machine.
How embarrassed I was, like, in front of my teammates, like, that I was a college baseball player that could not hit 82 miles an hour off the machine. And now it's like, you look at how our guys train, and the machine was 88 to 90 today, and probably a little heavy for some of the guys early on, but still, like, the dudes are they just continue to get better. Like, I am in awe of every time I watch these guys hit. I'm just so, like, it's really cool to see the guys just continue to grow and grow and grow. And we're talking Division III baseball, baby.
Thanks for coming to our podcast. Brad can't hear. Reminder, baseballism is dope. Phil's 1,500 subs, dope. Black Dog Bar and Grill, dope. Hank B. Patterson, real estate, dope. Also, if you want to take a cruise, where do you go, Krout?
Altamare travel.
Yes,
Really good.
very good, very good.